Once upon a time, in a land where the mountains kissed the sky and the forests whispered ancient secrets, there was a village called Elmswood. Nestled between the towering peaks and the dense woodlands, Elmswood was a place of peace and harmony until the day the darkness arrived. The shadows came not from the forest but from the horizon, borne by a ruthless warlord named Kale. He sought dominion over the land, spreading fear and destruction wherever he went. His army swept through villages, leaving nothing but ruin in their wake. Rylan had trained since childhood, his father, a retired knight, and his mother, a healer, instilled in him both the art of the sword and the wisdom to use it wisely. The villagers respected and loved him, for he was not just a protector but a friend to all. When Kale's army approached Elmswood, the villagers were terrified. They had heard tales of his cruelty and had no illusions about their chances of survival. But Rylan stood resolute. He knew that to protect his home, he would have to face the warlord himself. As the sun set on the eve of the impending battle, Rylan made his way to the edge of the village, where he found a secluded grove. There he drew his sword and began to practice, each movement fluid and precise, as if the blade was an extension of his own will. The moon was high in the sky when Kyle's army arrived. They marched with the clamor of steel and the thundering of hooves, their numbers overwhelming. Rylan, standing alone on the village's main road, faced them with a calm determination. Kyle, a towering figure clad in dark armor, approached Rylan with a sneer. "So, you are the famous swordsman," he said, his voice like a growl. "Do you truly believe you can stand against my army alone?" Rylan's grip tightened on his sword, but he remained silent, his eyes never leaving Kale. The air crackled with tension as the two figures stood facing each other, the battlefield stretching out behind them. Rylan fought with a grace that seemed almost otherworldly, his movements a blur of precision and power. He anticipated Kyle's every strike, countering with a series of calculated blows. The villagers watched in awe as their protector danced through the fight, each strike delivered with purpose and skill. Despite Rylan's prowess, Kale was relentless. The warlord's strength was formidable, and the clash of their swords seemed to grow fiercer with each passing moment. Yet Rylan's resolve did not waver. He fought not just for his own survival, but for the lives of everyone in Elmswood. As the battle raged on, Rylan saw an opening. With a swift and decisive move, he disarmed Kale, sending the warlord's sword flying from his grasp. The fight was far from over, but the tide had turned. Rylan pressed his advantage, his strikes growing more precise and powerful with every moment. Finally, with a final decisive blow, Rylan disarmed Kale and knocked him to the ground. He stood over the fallen warlord, his breath coming in measured gasps, his sword poised to strike. The warlord's army, seeing their leader defeated, began to retreat, their morale shattered. Rylan, however, spared Kyle's life. He knew that true victory lay not in the destruction of his enemies, but in the preservation of his principles. He ordered Kale to leave and never return, and the warlord, realizing the futility of further resistance, fled into the night. As dawn broke over Elmswood, the village erupted in cheers. Rylan had saved them from the darkness, and his legend grew even greater. But for Rylan, the true reward was not in the glory or the accolades, but in the peace that returned to his home. And so the swordsman who had faced the shadows and emerged victorious became a symbol of hope and courage, his story a testament to the power of honor and the strength of the human spirit.